Hi! Today let's bake the easiest apple pie you can possibly imagine. It's a real hit here in Russia and in many ex-USSR countries, especially in autumn when everyone's grandmas come from villages and bring boxes of apples. And when I say it's easy, I really mean it, because all you need for the classical version are 4 ingredients. I, however, prefer baking a little bit modified, slightly more complicated version of the same pie, which is probably invented by my close friend, or at least she was the one I learned the recipe from. So, for the easiest version, all you need is flour, white sugar, some eggs, and a couple of apples. But what about this modified version? Let's get started. So, what I'm doing, at first, I take 4 eggs and put those into my blender cup. And then I mix them with a pinch of salt. Then I add a cup of sugar, 200 grams. Then 1 cup of white flour, I personally like adding a little bit of vanillin into the dough. It might also be a good idea to switch your oven on before you start working with the dough, because the dough is really quick to prepare and the oven will be hot exactly by the time you're ready to put your pie into it. And now let's prepare our apples. I think it's better to use sour varieties because the dough is really sweet, and if you add sweet apples, I think it's just a bit too much. But if you really love sweet things, then don't let me stop you. You don't have to peel the apples, you just remove the seeds and the stick. Depending on the size of your apples, you might want to use anything from 1 to 3 or 4 of them. Next, you take the baking form and cut your apples there in pieces like that. What you want to do is to more or less cover the bottom of your baking form with the apple pieces. And here, if you're baking the classical unmodified version, that's it. You've cut the apples, you've mixed 4 eggs, a cup of flour and a cup of white sugar, then you just pour the dough on the apples. What I like to do is to add some cinnamon and some sour berry like cranberry or lingonberry. I personally love cinnamon, so that's what I like doing. I use some of it here on top of the apples. Why I love using cranberry here is because it adds extra sourness to the sweetness of the apples and the dough. And now all we have to do is to just pour our dough here. And now all we have to do is to put our baking form into the oven, which is now hot, and we will need around 30 minutes in 180 degrees Celsius. Actually, I plan to film and release this video in autumn, and that would be logical because autumn is a great time for Sharlotka pies, and usually I bake a lot of them because my grandma brings loads of apples from the village. But this year I had a baby in the beginning of August, so you can imagine I was a little bit occupied for filming anything, and honestly, I'm still a little bit overwhelmed. And, well, I think I look like a potato, like an exhausted potato. And I feel like a potato too. As I said, it takes around 30 minutes to bake the pie, but your oven might need a little bit more or less time. So when you will be baking the pie for the first time, at least, I would recommend that you try it, if it's ready or not, with a toothpick or with a match. Both the basic and the modified versions of the recipe will be there for you in the description. So, if you have lots of apples and you are not really sure what to do with them, maybe it would be a good idea to try this pie. And if you do try it, please don't hesitate to write a comment and tell me if you liked it or not. As for now, take care and see you next week.
Мы тогда можем, если мы тебе не нужны, то мы тебе закроем дверь, чтобы не орать тебе.
Чтобы не орать мне в кадр?